Hi, welcome to Elite Pilates. This video on stretching and some strengthening exercises that you can do to help relieve or eliminate hip pain. Certainly works in relation to clicking hip, can loosen the hip up as well as strengthening it, and pain as a result of bursitis, and also so-called runner's knee, which can be as a result usually of tension fasciae, the hip muscle in the hip area can affect the knee. So as a general rule, we want all muscles strong, but we want them flexible. So we want a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of strengthening work. Stretching as a basic, we hold for 20 seconds. And usually do it about 3 times. 3 sets of 20 usually works quite well for a developmental stretch. Strengthening as a basic, we usually do about 2 sets of 10. So I'm going to take you through, we call it the 3-way stretch in Pilates. I'll just demonstrate what it is. So I'm going to work on my left side because that's my problematic side. I am actually tight in the hip. So there's 3 groups of muscles that can adversely affect hip mobility. Bear in mind we're thinking about stretching at the moment, then we'll strengthen. And that is the hamstrings as a group of muscles, the abductors, that's a thing then, and then the adductors. So this one is for the hamstrings, target the hamstrings specifically, flex the foot back, both legs are straight, flex the foot back, keeping it straight, we put it on stress. And I'm using a band. You can use a strap or a tie for this one. I find the band, it's a bit safer for some people. I won't bore you with why. Flex the foot back, you put it on stretch, so you get a discomfort of about 7. I'm just going to relax now, I'm just going to stay there until I ease it. Keep the foot flexed back. Then you've got this particular one as well as actually pretty most of the ones we're doing today, but this in particular is great for helping with sciatica. It's a neural gliding, a neural flossing move. Well, it's a passive hold really, isn't it? But, so once 20 seconds have elapsed, let's assume they have. I might do that 3 times. Great for the hamstrings, good for the hamstring, good for the calf as well. And again, that neural gliding. So let's work in adduction now. So I'm going to put both hands, my right hand on both the straps. I'm going to take the left leg across the body, but keep the pelvis down. We don't want to turn the body because you just turn your body, you want to stretch tissues. So take it across the body. I'm still getting the hamstrings, and I'm also getting target a little bit more the lateral hamstring, the bicep femoris or femoris, however you want to pronounce. But I'm also getting tension fasciae latiae and the 6 short external rotations in the glute head. I'm stretching them off as well, keeping that foot flexed back. Okay, the biggest one for this is you're not turning the body, keep the pelvis down. And again, I'll do 3 sets of 20 seconds for that. And then I'll come out and I'll sort of do the opposite. Left hand on that left hand, and I'm going to take it out to the side. But now, I want to work on this leg, but just so you can see what's happening, I'll just demonstrate with the leg. You're taking it outside of the body, but again, the opposite pelvis, keep it down. You don't want to just turn the body. So I like to put my hand there to get a bit of biofeedback. You can have the arm out to the side and turn your head. So what's that target? Target my hamstrings, but you're now bringing the adductors into play. So the adductors, the hamstrings, and the hip flexors can adversely affect, if they're too tight, your hip mobility. And it can pull and create that bursitis, can undue friction there, creating the bursitis, clicking their knee, or snapping knee, snapping hip. So hamstrings and the abductors in this particular position. And again, I'll hold that for 20 seconds, maybe do 3 sets of 20. So that's a good bit of stretching. Now there's loads of stretching and movements that you can do. I'm just cutting it down, keeping it simple. 3-way stretch, that's referred to. So that's in relation to flexibility. Strengthening. A very good one called oysters. Again, there's other moves that I particularly do, but for oysters, I'll work on the problematic. So now we're into strengthening. So we'll keep it simple. Basically 2 sets of 10. So I lie myself. Now you can be lying down. It's a little bit tamer. For reasons which I will bore you with, I like to go up onto the elbow, up onto the forearm. I bend my knees, I bend my hip. My bum's roughly in line. My heels are roughly in line with my bum. I'm just going to put the hands there. I'm squeezing my feet together, squeeze my bum and lift my knee as high up as I can, squeeze my bum, keeping my feet heavy as well is an important part of that. Don't believe it? Try it with your feet. Well, there you go. I'm lightening my feet. Can't feel it in my bum at all. Squeeze the feet together, squeeze your bum as you lift the knee. Oh, I feel that. I'm actually going to do 2 sets at a time. I'll just do a few more. But the difference it makes, squeeze the feet together, squeeze your bum, lift the knee up. Now just because the biggest thing to focus on is that, keep the feet pressed together and press down, squeeze your bum, lift the knee up as high as you can. Another thing to pay attention to is make sure you don't turn the body off. Because again, you're just taking them away from the muscles we're trying to target. So try and keep the hips stacked if you can. Some days I'll put my hand on my pelvis, see if it moves. Try not to move it. Again, it's great for strengthening those muscles that we stretched before. Again, we want all muscles strong but flexible. So we do want to strengthen them, and we also want to strengthen them as well. So, oysters, sometimes called clam. Well, I think in America they favour the clams. Here tend to call them oysters. So it's oysters. Great for the glutes. Great for those 6 short external rotations you've got in your bum, and then you've got glute medius, tensiofacial latissimus, and your glute minimus as well. What other exercise have I got down there? Oh, sideline leg lifts. Brilliant. This targets similar muscles but in a slightly different way. And again, I prefer being up. I said I was going to bore you with why, didn't I? In that position, it becomes more of a shoulder stabilizer, shoulder strength, and get more bang for your buck. The spine is in lateral flexion. In the lumbar spine in particular, it's like a wedge shape. So I'm now lying on my right side, I'm opening up my right side of my lumbar spine because I'll do both sides, I'll open up my left as well. Great for preventing and for treating sciatica because it frees up that lumbar spine. Anyway, what's it doing? Sideline, yeah. So I prefer them. You can loads of different ways you can do them. One way is just bend the bottom leg. So my top leg, my heel, my bum, the back of my head all in one straight line. Put my hands on the pelvis. I'm going to lift the foot up. Now the knee and the toes are pointing to the front. I'm going to lift that up as high as I can and then lower it down. Now I like to lower right the way down and rest it and then start off again. Lift it up. There's loads of different ways. You can just take it down to there. I like dropping it down because you're getting you're getting a greater range of motion in those muscles. You could argue this is a little bit of a stretch for tensiofacial latissimus there, and then you strengthen it on all those glutes. The biggest one for this is as high up as you can with the knee and toes pointing the front. And again, just be conscious that that pelvis doesn't roll back and it doesn't rock forward. Keep the hips stacked. And again, 2 sets of 10. But you're trying to lift it up as high as you can do that. I can do that all day. I couldn't do that. Try and squeeze it up, hold it for a few couple of seconds, lower down. Squeeze it up, hold for a couple of seconds, lower down. You can hold it for longer, but keep it simple. 2 sets of 10 that side, 2 sets of 10 the other side. Possibly consider doing more work on the side that got the issue on, or more correctly, what side feels weaker. It might not be that side, ironically, it could be the other side. So you always do a little bit more work on the side that needs it. So that's sideline, part of the sideline leg exercise, again, to strengthen the hip, that hip joint. What other ones can we do? What ones have got down there? Straight leg lift. Yeah, you can do to work the hip flexors. I haven't done it as direct hip flexor stretch today. I'll do that in another video. But straight leg raises, I usually do them as I just do them this way. There's loads of different ways you can do them. Flex the feet back. So your hands are outside the shoulders, stomach in, chest is lifted. The top half doesn't move at all. Keeping your feet flexed back. Lift the leg up as high up as you can, lower down. You'll really feel this in rectus femoris in particular on that particular hip flexor. Just onto the quadricep group. And again, 2 sets of 10, set of 10 that side, set of 10 that side, and then revisiting it to 2 sets of 10. Again, I'm looking forward because there might be a difference. How high up you can lift it, assuming you keep in good form when you lift the other one up. So I know I've got a problem with the left side, that one's a bit weaker. So my left one could do with a little bit more weight. That's straight leg lift. Where's your hip flexors? Predominantly, because the legs are straight and locked out, the other quadricep muscle it gets is the rectus femoris, which is also a hip flexor. Straight leg lifts. One of the ones I've got down there, or the daddy of them all, because it works on a lot of levels, and that's, you might know them as glute bridges, I know them as spine curls. Don't have your head on the block for this, your feet are hip socket distance apart, feet flat on the floor. Use your stomach muscles to tilt the pelvis back and imprint. Keep tilting back using your abdominals, use your legs, and you're pushing up until there's a straight line between your knees, your pelvis, and your shoulders. And then lower the spine down. Put the lower back down before you put your bum down. That really fires up the abdominals as well. And then lower the tailbone down. And just repeat. Squeeze your bum, squeeze your bum, squeeze your bum. Make sure your legs don't roll out, they don't roll in. Well, there's loads of variation you can do with this if you want to work harder. When you're up there, you can squeeze your bum a bit more, send your pubic bone a bit higher. I can feel it. This one is great. It works the hamstrings, the adductors, the glutes big time, your stomach, opens up the hip flexors. It's a fantastic hip one, this. It works on a load of levels. Articulation of the spine. And again, there's loads you can do. You can do knee forward. So this is my weak side. If I want to work that side harder, just put one knee out of it, one leg out of it, and just do one leg ones. Oh boy, with that, because there's so much you can do with that. And that's just a selection, some stretching and some strengthening exercise for the hip joint, which should help with snapping hip, snapping knee, sometimes called runner's knee, IT band dysfunction, and bursitis as well. They're the three things that can help it. And it's good as well. You need strong glutes. Most people's glutes need to be the V8 engine of the body. But because we spend a lot of time sat down, they're actively insufficient, the muscles are in stretch, they tend not to be strong enough to do the job they're meant to be. Anyway, I could ramble on for hours. That's it for this video. I'll catch you in another one.